Hello, Global Talk.
Dr. Kim back in the studio once again. How was your week, sir?
I think it's been fair. The weather is kind of gloomy today.
It's cooling down, isn't it?
Right, and it feels kind of chilly, as you said, right?
Yeah, nobody's looking forward to those winter temperatures.
Yes, not.
Yeah. All right, well, it's good to see you, sir.
Great to see you.
Thank you very much. Let's get started with a quiz question.
Quiz for today is this. A global issue that includes rising temperatures in weather patterns is known as, number 1, climate change, number 2, costume change.
One more time, please.
A global issue that includes rising temperatures in weather patterns is known as, number 1, climate change, number 2, costume change.
Thank you, sir. If you know the answer, put it on our Bandi board or use Kakao Talk or text in on your cell phone, pounder sharp 1045 for 50 or 101, depending on the length of your text. We are giving away an iRiver portable Chisol Salgyungi. All right, so let's get started. Last December.
Right.
In Paris, the world community finally agreed to work together to cut down on greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, I think we talked about it on the show.
I think several times.
It was called the Paris Agreement, and it's now going into effect next month. The time is finally here.
And that's a big news because the world community worked so hard to reach this agreement last December. But reaching the agreement itself doesn't mean much unless countries actually ratify the agreements.
Right.
And now finally we got to a point where enough number of countries has agreed to ratify those, and they have ratified those. And now with those, the agreement will enter in effect. Original agreement was if we have over 55 countries, and if those over 55 countries ratified the agreement account for over 55% of the greenhouse gas emissions, then this agreement would enter into effect.
Okay,
and
so
that point
yeah,
has passed.
That's a little confusing. So if 55 countries agreed,
Right.
and among those 55 countries, if they accounted for 55%,
Right.
of the greenhouse
Here,
gases.
Steve, the word over is important because in Paris, 195 countries have signed the agreement, and ratification is important. If more or over 55 countries ratified the agreement at home in their individual domestic countries, and if that the number of countries that have ratified account for more than or over 55% of emissions being produced by these countries, then the agreement will enter effect. So it's and condition.
That's a big condition then, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
That's why it's a big celebration because the 2 weeks ago, October 4th, we have passed that point. I think EU was the one that made it possible. Several major ones have ratified, but it was still not enough. And then EU actually ratified it this past October 4th, 2 weeks ago, and that made us pass that point. So that's why, from that point on, within a month, the agreement will enter in effect. That's why November 4th is the date.
I understand. So it wasn't that there was an agreement.
Right.
You know, that November 4th will be the day that this goes into effect. There are certain things that needed to happen first.
Exactly.
So what about the world's biggest greenhouse gas emitters? The United States is at the top of the list. China is at the top of the list.
Right.
They acted rather early on to help the agreement, to help get it into effect. But India was a variable until recently.
Exactly. The United States and China acted quickly, and then last September they said they have ratified the agreement, but still that was not enough. And then India is number 3 in terms of the ranking among countries in terms of how much gas you produce.
U.S. is number 1, China is number 2, India is number 3?
China is number 1 these days,
I
actually.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's changing quite fast, but India is number 3. And India, past that point, they ratified it like on November 4th, but still it was not enough. And then EU entered, and then finally we got it. And so India was a lasting concern. And after India, Russia number 4, Japan number 5, Germany number 6, and then ranking goes on. And now with the India joining and then EU joining, if you account EU as one, EU is like a number 3, slightly over India, but still they don't, in this climate change agreement, they don't treat EU as one country.
Oh.
Individual countries matter. So anyway, but EU countries, 28 or so countries entering the agreement with ratification, finally the agreement is going to go into effect. So
Okay.
that once again is a big excitement for those people who care about these issues.
So what about Korea then? Where does Korea land on this list?
Korea actually is number 7 in terms of world rank, in terms of the amount of CO2 gases that we produce. After China, United States, India, Russia, Japan, and Germany, Korea is number 7. But Korea has not ratified it. So it's a problem. Those Koreans who care about this issue feel it's a little bit embarrassing that we have not acted yet. The bill itself has passed the cabinet meeting at the end of August, and now it's at the National Assembly. And National Assembly have so many different issues at this time. And so they're kind of slow in passing or ratifying the issue. So the concern is growing about the fact that Korea has not yet joined this global trend where everybody is excited about this agreement entering effect, but Korea is not part of it.
Is Korea
Yes.
expected to join, or we just don't know
We
yet?
we don't expect any huge challenge or problem, but National Assembly is just slow here. So I think we will eventually, join, but Korea has been slow. What's happening is that the next month, November 7th, I believe, in Marrakesh, Morocco, there will be another annual meeting. And if Korea does not ratify it before then, Korea is not going to be part of this gathering. Korea will, technically speaking, will be just observer as number 7, emission gas producer. That's going to be embarrassing.
Well, we still have some time.
November 7th? I guess we do.
Yes.
Give a call to the National Assembly.
We'll see what we can do. Before we go to our break, can we have your quiz question one more time, please?
Quick question. A global issue that includes rising temperatures in weather patterns is known as, number 1, climate change, number 2, costume change.
And again, if you know the answer, you can use our Bondi board or Kakao Talk or text in on your cell phone, pounder sharp 1045 for 50 or 101, depending on the length of your text. And again, we are giving away an iRiver portable Chisor Salgyungi. All right, so we'll listen to a song and we're going to talk more about this issue with Dr. Kim after Keen, Somewhere Only We Know. With Dr. Kim Byung-ju in today's Hello Global Talk, we are talking about the Paris Agreement, which we talked about last year in our segment as well. But now it's in the news that next month it will come into effect. But can we go back a little bit further in history? Before the Paris Agreement last year, there was another one back in 1997, way back in 1997, the Kyoto Protocol, right?
Right.
So how are these different? How are they the same?
Kyoto Protocol was first try for the world community to control the climate change, and it failed because Kyoto Protocol. What happened was countries got together and decided how much greenhouse gas needs to be reduced, and they decided which countries will contribute how much top down, and they determined it. But when the countries brought that home for ratification, United States, for instance, refused it.
Right.
Because U.S. Congress, Republican-controlled Congress, refused the idea of President Clinton then, Clinton administration's idea of joining the Kyoto Protocol. The argument was, in Kyoto Protocol, the way it's produced was based upon the developing countries' argument. Developing countries were saying, look, you developed countries, you have developed your economy. While doing so, you have emitted enough of greenhouse gas. And now, meaning China and India, we have to develop as well.
Yeah.
And if you force us to cut down, then we have to compromise in terms of economic development. That's not fair. So what happened was China, India, they were not included as the countries that need to take an action. Only developed countries were included as countries with responsibility to act. Korea was not included. So what happened was when they brought it to U.S. Congress for ratification, U.S. Congress said, if China is not included, this is unfair in terms of business competition. Chinese products will remain cheap while U.S. product will become more expensive because you have to take an action to cut down the greenhouse gas emissions.
And that in turn will make products more expensive.
Right, right.
And therefore more expensive for production costs means more expensive for the consumer as well.
Exactly,
Therefore,
exactly.
in market competition, you can't compete as
Right,
well.
right. Chinese product will have unfair advantage. That's what U.S. Republicans in the U.S. Congress said, and they killed the agreement. So when China was not included from the beginning, and then when United States decided to get out of it, other countries followed as well. Japan and Russia also decided to get out of the agreement. So that's why Kyoto Protocol of 1997 eventually failed. So Paris Agreement last year was a second try for the world community. And this time, the way it's different is it's rather than top down, it's bottom up. Countries just reported this is how much we're going to cut. And this time, all the countries were encouraged to participate, including China, including India. So it's bottom up. Everybody is included. Therefore, it's different than the previous one. But pessimists say, well, that's not enough because if you add up all the commitments of the countries, it still will not achieve the goal of keeping the temperature rise below 1.5 degree or 2 degrees Celsius. But optimists say, well, this is good enough. We totally failed in Kyoto in 1997, and now we are doing something about it. So we have to be excited about it. So there's a pessimist and optimist.
Well, it sounds like it's a better plan to get more people on board, more countries on board. I was trying to think of an example, an equivalent for the Kyoto Protocol. I was thinking in school, if you use China, the United States, and Japan as examples, and the teacher says, okay, we need to study less in class because we're spending too much on the electricity bill. China, you can stay in the class and study longer, but the United States and Japan, you have to go home early and study less.
Right.
Japan says, okay. And America says, well, wait a minute. No, because our grades will suffer. And China doesn't have to do it. So we're not going to do it.
Fairness
and then
really
Japan
matters.
says, well, wait a minute.
We're going to get out too.
If the States isn't doing it, then we're not going to do it either. And then nobody does it.
That's what happened to 1997 Kyoto Protocol. Good analogy.
Hopefully nobody does that this time.
Yeah, this time everybody's in, but Korea has to ratify our agreement on our part. So that's important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are other things that need to be taken care of here as well.
Yeah, but United States, for instance, scientists issued world scientists have issued a letter, open letter, saying if Donald Trump is elected, United States is going to kill the agreement once again. So if United States gets out of this Paris Agreement, we will repeat the path where the Kyoto Protocol has gone through for the second time. So scientists are saying if Donald Trump is elected as the president, we will have doomsday once again for climate change cooperation.
Is it known that Hillary
Republicans-
Clinton? No, is it known that Hillary Clinton will go along with this?
Absolutely. Democrats are committed, but Republicans, Donald Trump, and also Republican congressional members are saying they're going to kill the agreement.
I see. Interesting topic, that's for sure. Dr. Kim, before we finish, the answer to your quiz question, please.
Answer to the question, a global issue that includes rising temperatures in weather pattern is known as... The answer is number 1, climate change.
And the iRiver portable Chisol Salgyungi will go to Kim Mi-eun-nim. Congratulations to you and enjoy your prize. All right, Dr. Kim, thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you
Bye-bye.
next week. Bye-bye.